What's the bottom line here, Congressman? What do you want to see happen? What needs to happen?
Well, good morning. And I think the big thing is we need a light touch regulatory framework that provides certainty for the ICO market. The SEC has started to weigh in just last week. Bill Hinman communicated that Ether was considered a commodity, not a security. And so there's been some concern as the SEC started to regulate that everything starts looking like a security to a securities regulator. And we want to make sure that the United States capital markets stay strong and vibrant, and one of the ways to do that is provide regulatory certainty.
So how would, what does a light touch actually mean? It would be under whose purview? What would, what would it look like? Is it still sketchy in terms of what the final product should look like?
Yeah, so we still haven't put together the first draft, but we've worked with people across the industry, including regulators, in terms of how should this take shape so that it drives capital. Right now there's a concern that there's regulatory arbitrage going on, where launching an initial public offering is more complicated and expensive, and essentially companies are doing white papers instead of securities offerings, and they're essentially selling securities. That's led some to be incredibly concerned about fraud, and there has been fraud in the market, so we have to protect consumers. And then some are concerned about things that start trading more as a currency, and the Bank Secrecy Act, AML, Know Your Customer provisions that make sure we protect ourselves from illicit uses.
I mean, part of the, I don't know exactly how it's all going to, no one does, obviously, whether it actually becomes a stable currency, whether it's always sort of a speculative investment or whatever it is. But there are certain benefits to the unregulated aspect of the whole arena, and I think that's what supporters are worried about. That you're sort of that's why I guess you said light touch. You go too far, and all the benefits of cryptocurrency sort of they're not there anymore. Right?
Yeah, and I think that's the big thing. Everyone says cryptocurrency, and the reality is what you see is crypto assets broadly, crypto securities, crypto commodities, and so the Swiss have put a framework in place that frankly is driving capital flows there. And so there's certainty. In the U.S., there's a concern that we're going to have this disparate patchwork of court rulings that doesn't provide a coherent whole, and so we want to protect that market. Blockchain is truly transformative, perhaps in a way the internet was, in terms of how the distributed ledger can be applied to a broad range of technologies. And that's why you don't really know when somebody does an initial coin offering whether they're really launching this great distributed ledger product that is going to be a security, or if it looks a little different, like Ether and Bitcoin have been determined to be, essentially commodities.
Are you concerned about any of the uses for cryptocurrency where it's being used on the black market, being used for all sorts of illicit things because of the very thing that makes it desirable, which is it's untrackable?
Well, I think there's a perception it's untrackable, but frankly it's more trackable than cash. It's certainly more open than a Hawala network, and both those things are still legal.
Why do drug dealers ask for it? Why is it something that's seen as the currency of choice for people who are doing illicit activities?
Yeah, I'm not sure that it would be considered the currency of choice, but it is definitely easy to transmit through time and space, and it's distributed. You don't need a central clearinghouse to complete the transaction in some cases. So the distributed ledger provides ease of use that way. But if you look at how cases like Mt. Gox have been solved, there are ways to trace who is the beneficial owner once you exit the ledger. And then there's ways to incorporate what kind of traceability is in there, and Bitcoin was launched in a way where it's more anonymous by design, but should certain types of transactions be structured that way?
Yeah, and I suppose one of the questions is, at what point does the amount of cryptocurrency in issue become a systemic concern? That this is going outside what is visible in currency markets as a currency, and it's an unpriced asset in other areas?
Well, right now the market's pretty small. I mean, I think half $1 trillion if you take all of the mainstream currencies. I mean, Bitcoin itself is almost half of that. So the market is not enormous. Certainly Jamie Dimon's been a bit dismissive of the currency aspects, but broadly supportive of distributed ledger applications. And so all the things that go out with a coin or token essentially aren't even trying to be currencies. They're just a means of exchange And in some cases, it's just a different way to raise capital. And so, but it does provide benefits over traditional securities offerings.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.